Hello and welcome back to the Tough Guy Podcast. I'm Matthew.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jakey.
And this is episode 65, part 3 of our pirate bracket.
Yeah,
lots to be excited about.
Yeah.
This is our pirate bracket, and these movies have pirates in them.
Yep.
You're welcome. I did my job today.
And it's pirates bracket, really.
Oh yeah, we
as
did.
we debated.
All right, yeah, we said
specify
that. We
it was
established.
pirates.
Let's not shoot a guy while he's down with a dodgeball. All right, let's not do that,
Jake,
Yeah.
you're not down yet. You still got a ringer.
dude. I still
That's
got.
true.
I still got my baby in here, but dodgeball it hurts. It hurts. I'm not gonna say it doesn't hurt.
And coming at you in today's episode is that ringer in the second half. But in the first half of the episode, we've got Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest versus Pirates Band of Misfits. And then the second half of the episode, we've got Treasure Planet versus Muppet Treasure Island. Lots of fun to be had.
Whew. I'm
That's a toughie.
like already sweating thinking
That's
about
a
the second
toughie.
half of this episode. I have no idea what will happen.
That's a real toughie.
Luckily, as an audience member, you can just fast forward right there. However, stop. Please listen to the first half.
If you did do that, natural transition spoilers. We can spoil our own podcast. I know who the winner's going to be already. I'll tell you in 3 seconds.
Jake, don't mention the
One,
script.
Two. Now we'll be spoiling these movies, and they're pretty fun rides and pretty great stories.
One of them literally was a ride.
Yeah, literally, one of them was a ride. Treasure Planet. Only Elon Musk has ridden that ride. Yeah, it's a spoil time, and we usually end up spoiling other movies too. We'll probably talk about other pirate movies, I imagine, specifically Pirates of the Caribbean, because we can't help but talk about the whole series. It's just how it goes.
Shall we jump into it?
Let's do it. We're
it.
crazy.
Alex, do you want to go ahead and introduce Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest?
You got it. We talked about this movie 2 weeks ago. Second movie in the Pirates of the Caribbean original trilogy. Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann are getting married, but oh no, they helped a pirate and now they're gonna be in jail or hung. I don't remember which one.
Little column A, little column B.
Little bit of both. And then they go to find Jack Sparrow, the pirate, so he can clear their names. Because, wait, I'm actually now a little confused. Why do they need Jack Sparrow?
Because the East India Trading Company says, give me the
they want his compass.
They want the
If
compass.
they get the compass, then their names are cleared.
yeah,
That's
they'll
right.
give them the what are they called?
The
pieces of
pardons,
it.
whatever.
Yes,
no.
pardons.
Oh,
Literally
pardons,
pardons.
sorry. Yeah.
Jack
Pieces
Sparrow's
of paper.
Pieces of paper.
They
Jack
are
Sparrow's
pieces of paper.
He's got a magic compass. It shows you it points you at what you want, but it's not working for him. What's up with that?
He don't know what he want.
He don't know what he wants.
He want me.
Hmm?
I'm actually looking at the poster of this movie right now. It's got like their three faces, Will, Elizabeth, and Jack. And then there's like faded pirate ships, and one of them is getting attacked by the Kraken. But like the backdrop of this poster is the Jungle Island, which is pretty fun because that is one set piece in this entire movie that mostly is not on an island, but like
yeah.
that is
I totally
like the
forgot
iconic
that was
scene,
in
I
this
think.
movie. We didn't even talk about that set piece, the island set piece. That's a fun one.
Well, I guess there are two islands.
Oh, yeah, I guess which
There are
island?
two islands. There's
Cannibal
the one where-
Island
Cannibal
or
Island.
Battle Island.
yeah, not the Battle Island. That one, the Cannibal Island, we never talked about.
Which we can do so.
We'll get
we can
to
do
it.
so.
Yeah.
I'll just say once again, I picked this movie because I think it's the most pirate movie of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And after rewatching the first two, this might be my favorite one. Now that I think about it more, it's got the best final act, I think, of many movies. Yeah. Matt, do you want to introduce Pirates Band of Misfits?
Yeah, so the Pirates Band of Misfits. Basically, we've got the wonderfully bearded pirate captain as he tries to seek out the Pirate of the Year award and teams up with noted incel Charles Darwin and takes on the Queen of England, who hates pirates. That's basically it. I read the fun introduction last time when we first talked about this one 2 weeks ago. It's just a fun piratey romp.
You know, so I'm on the Wikipedia for Dead Man's Chest. Did you know that this movie was shot back to back with the third movie?
You could have made yourself seem like real educated on Pirates of the
No,
Caribbean, just being like,
I'm
did you
not.
know?
Guys, I'm the relatable host. We forget
That's
that.
true. That's true. Alec looks his facts up live on the podcast, or
I
some
don't
of us do
know
research.
trivia. I
Yeah.
find trivia.
I go off vibes, so I don't know what that says about.
Where I just say what the corporate overlords, what script they send me.
You know that meme that's like source, and then like a bigger person said, "I made it up." Like
That's you.
that's me. Yeah.
But I just think that like that is so interesting because we talked last week about how so many of the things that we think about this movie with actually happened in World's End. Like the one that I am always confused about is James Norrington being on Davy Jones's ship.
You mean Commodore Norrington?
Yes, Commodore Norrington. I always think about him on Davy Jones's crew, and I keep like waiting
interesting.
for that to happen, and it never does in this movie.
I think his best performance is in Dead Man's Chest, though. At the end, like his
so
sloppiness and like when the Jack Sparrow's trying to find all of his different hats and they're at the bar fight. There's some great shit there on Tortuga.
Some good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, we've touched on it a couple of times that like there are just so many spectacular set pieces in that last movie where I think the first two Pirates of the Caribbean movies have much tighter narratives. The first one maybe blows its scope out a little large to like keep it as intimate. Obviously, we didn't watch that one for the podcast, so it's been a little bit since I've seen it. But what sticks in my mind are like the whirlpool battles, the globe-trotting elements to it. You know, it's a big scale, a large scale.
I think they
adventure.
just like threw money at that one. It was going to be the finale. They knew it was going to make a lot of money, so they're just like, here's your pirate cove. Here are all your like bit piece like pirates that you're gonna get up in all this expensive costume for like 3 lines. Make all their boats and flags, like,
you know, probably adjusted for inflation, the most expensive movie ever made.
Yeah, besides Sonic 3.
Well, we've got some new info on that, but you've got to wait till the release drops. We've got
spoilers. Sorry.
We were brought into the writers' room,
and then immediately escorted out of the writers' room. So I actually have something that I wanted to bring to your attention, Matthew.
Please.
I was looking at the poster and I was thinking of Pirates Band of Misfits. That main man, he kind of looks like someone I met in college. You know, he kind of looks like I don't know if you were there. We partied with a pirate once. Do you remember this?
So many people have brought this up about how in college they partied with this pirate. He had this beautiful red coat, just like such an identifiable guy. But like, I never met him. Nobody ever saw me and him at the same party, and I don't know how that kept happening.
Yeah, what was his name again? I
remember his name. I remember he was really excited about olive oil.
Yeah,
he yelled at us a lot about olive oil.
He knew a lot about olive oil.
Guys, I'm gonna pause it here. Okay, audience, I'm gonna let you know a little secret because we're just gonna continue this conversation and pretend that this didn't happen. Matt was the pirate.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is, I want a rated R version of this kind of art style with pirates, and I think Captain Randall, his last name's escaping me.
Yeah, it just is.
Yeah, it just is. I just feel like he gives off the same vibes, and I've never seen like a full like rated R besides like TV shows of like pirate.
For a second, I really thought you were going to say, I've never seen Pirates Band of Misfits.
No,
full
it would have been
vibes.
such a powerful move.
Yeah.
There's this really interesting idea where I feel like 99% of pirate media is made to be like family friendly.
Yeah,
Pirates in reality, as you guys met with Captain Randall, are not family friendly.
No, but that's the thing. That's why I think also catering it to animation might make it more tasteful for audiences, because like people always make animation, even if it is adult animation, like you can get away with more stuff there, and I feel like you can get away with more actual pirate lore and pirate stuff through an animated medium while actually showcasing the history of it. Because the only one that I've seen that's kind of matched is this show called Black Sails, which was like a really cool show on Stars that like no one saw. But it told the tale of like pre-Treasure Planet, like Billy Bones and Captain Flint were still around, and like it was
Oh,
really,
really?
really cool.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a really
That's
good show. I do
That's a
recommend
cool
it.
take
Sounds
on
pretty
the
cool.
Treasure Island story.
Bon Annie, like all those, like the Lady Pirate was in it, and like Jack, Captain Jack, who's loosely based on our Captain Jack, but like there's in mythology a Captain Jack, and he's like a little squealish man on Flint's crew. Like it's really cool. It's a really cool show, but they do go lean rated R. There's sex and drugs and smuggling and cursing,
Which is what pirates were like.
yeah.
Weirdest thing.
And I don't know why, out of all the content we have here, Pirates Band of Misfits is what makes me think I want a rated R version.
Pirates Band of Misfits, I think, is like, I don't know, it's a little edgy for a kid's thing.
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
In a more like adult way, like adult jokes rather than like adult content, if that makes sense. Like it's
Mhm.
not about drinking or violence.
Right.
It's just like, is that like a sex joke?
Which I think is one of the like corner, in my description of the movie, I described the incel Charles Darwin, who literally in this movie is an incel, just
Yep.
like, which is an interesting choice to say the least. And it seems many of the inventions of any scientists in this universe are just so they can peer at the bosoms of ample-bodied ladies.
Yep. And that's pirate lore.
That's pirate lore.
Well, the reason I also bring this up, one, just because I wanted to like pose that question to y'all, and like just that thought, because I don't know, I just had it. And two,
Yeah.
Dead Man's Chest and most of the pirates thing, but focusing on Dead Man's Chest, that is a tight PG-13 rating.
Mhm.
And they still get away with a lot of great stuff. I think it's like one of the best like PG-13, like what they purposely put in, what kind of gruesome stuff they put, adult themes, while also making it like quote unquote kid friendly and all that stuff, depending on your views. They still handle piracy. Davy Jones still has some brutal shit in there, that they be killing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me that
And it's a Disney property that they get away with, like, oh, the pirates are all drinking rum, they're
Mhm.
shooting each other on Tortuga, they're like literally being offered, a staving off of your damnation
Mhm.
in exchange for joining Davy Jones's crew, which is a metal choice for someone to have to make.
Yeah.
It's still like a family movie. They're not saying fuck and having, dick and balls on screen.
Cowards, though. I want to see full frontal Davy Jones. Come on.
Want to see what he's packing downstairs.
I just know he's big. I know it. I know he's
Do
big.
you think all of his hair is like tentacles? Like, do you think his pubes are tentacles?
He would be top tier if that were true. I'd say it. That's the dream, baby.
You could bring
Why tentacle porn never have tentacle pubes?
Untapped market, honestly.
Yeah, so actually the Tough Cut podcast will be going on indefinite hiatus. We're starting a new production company. We touched on it a little bit. The Pirates of the Caribbean series of movies, they incorporate a lot of levity, and they typically have that driven primarily through, I can't remember the two characters' names,
The short one and the one with the eye.
Mhm,
which have some real bangers in this one. the
Yeah, they're pretty
getting
fucking
points
funny.
for trying in attempting to read the Bible is a hilarious
That is,
concept.
yeah. You get points for trying. That's like really funny. It's really good.
And there is the like adult adjacent humor that comes in Pirates and an Adventure with Scientists. Part of me feels like Pirates of the Caribbean not trying to be a comedy is almost has funnier bits than Pirates in an Adventure with Scientists, which is trying to be a comedy. But what are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, because Pirates Dead Man's Chest feels like an adventure film that, like, of course they'll have writers sprinkle in comedy because it brings the levity to it. It's whatever. You have good characters who are so full of life. It's not the purpose of it, but it helps enhance like the script and the film in general. But you're right, Band of Misfits trying to be funny, it does sometimes miss its mark.
Some of it is because British humor, of course.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's like a funny movie. I enjoy watching it, but I think that it's like consistently like a little bit like, yeah, let me make a little chuckle. Whereas Pirates is like not very funny most of the time, but then has like good peaks. It's like a good joke. And I'm like, oh, that'll get like a real laugh out of me.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
I feel that. It feels like there are jokes in Pirates Band of Misfits that recur. They're not like particularly good bits, you know, like how like someone gets crushed by stuff and then like that like keeps happening. I don't know. It's okay. It's kind of funny, but I feel like there were definitely better jokes that they could have done. I will say the recurring joke that I really liked was that the camera would pan away and then pan back and they'd suddenly be in different outfits.
Yeah,
great.
That's good.
That's really good.
That's good.
Playing with the medium, but
that's like that's technical stuff. That's not story pirate stuff. You know, that's
right. And like what you mentioned, the like two pirates in Dead Man's Chest. What I really enjoy about their characters is that in Curse the Black Pearl, they were featured pirates, but they weren't featured more than the rest of Barbossa's crew. Like, all of his crew had like standouts, and they just happened to choose those two to continue, and they end up on the island in the final action sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Character growth, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Truly character growth.
I have two things to say to these comments that are swirling around right now. One, let's not alienate our British audiences. You know, we actually have some, so
we actually do.
We love your humor. You know,
I do. I generally do, but
just
this
for
specific
point of clarification, you know. And then second, I'm a little fucked off right now because you're saying, oh, Pirates Dead Man's Chest is funnier. It's funnier, you know. Oh, it's not trying to be funny. It's funny. And what did Band of Misfits not knock out of competition? Dodgeball, which is a very funny movie, arguably funnier than Band of Misfits.
Well, okay, here's the thing. Pirates has pirates humor. The pirate humor in Dodgeball is the presence of a pirate. So, not like a pirate joke. It's just, there is a pirate. Isn't that funny?
The joke is the not pirate jokes.
Yeah.
They say booty at least once or twice in the end.
Yeah, that's true. You need a pirate to get booty.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah.
You know what? I just changed my whole mind.
I'm just saying, like, that's gonna bother me if the whole reason why someone swings their vote for Dead Man's is because it's funnier.
Okay, let's talk character then. You know, let's talk anything. Oh yeah, character. That's a great one to talk about. We talked a lot for Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, that we get to see the continuation of, you know, the characters as they are in the first film. Maybe a little bit of Flanderization starting to happen, but the like overarching personal storylines I think are in a really good spot. We've got like competing incentives going on. Let's look at Pirates Band of Misfits or Dodgeball if you really want to, Jake. Where, you know, I don't know what character growth happens. Vince Vaughn's character starts the movie like a kind of a slouchy, lazy guy and ends the movie rich, but still slouchy and lazy.
Okay, so you're telling me you wouldn't want to end a movie rich?
I would.
You're telling me that wouldn't be enough character growth for you.
Is that a meaningful change in who I am?
Jake, it's not about the monetary ending. It's about what he learned along the way. And what he learned along the way was, it's cool to be rich.
I mean...
And then looking at Pirates Band of Misfits, there's a lot of side pirates. There's a lot of these characters. And I feel like the crew has like an arc in and of themselves, sort of collectively. And the pirate captain has a bit of one, and Charles Darwin.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you can look at the like second mate. Like, that probably, in terms of pirates, that's not the captain, has the biggest arc of any of the pirates.
Yeah.
But you compare his arc to Will Turner or Elizabeth Swann, whose arcs, in a way, pretty similar. If you look at Jack Sparrow as the pirate captain, they're the people who are like following the pirate captain.
Mm-hmm.
That trio of characters is so much more complex and complicated and has so much more interesting stuff going on than the pirate captain and the second mate.
And maybe Vince Vaughn, even, if we're just throwing out examples.
You know what? If Vince Vaughn was in that movie, I still think Dead Man's Chest, despite Pirates Band of Misfits needing to somehow justify how Vince Vaughn's character got there and what he was doing in this claymation pirate world, I still think Dead Man's Chest would be more complicated than what they did.
But if it was Steve the Pirate, you know.
I mean...
then it would be gold, but that's not the case.
That's not the case. We're talking about Vince Vaughn all of a fucking sudden. All right. Well, what if Vince Vaughn was Davy Jones? That'd be a worse movie, right?
You're right.
I don't know
Possibly.
if that proves your point.
I do think if Vince Vaughn had been Davy Jones, I do think Dead Man's Chest would have been a worse movie. You
So
hit the
we
nail on the
finally
head
agree.
right there.
So Dodgeball lost because Vince Vaughn was in it.
Dodgeball lost because Vince Vaughn would be a worse Davy Jones.
Yeah.
This does bring me, though, to another question.
Right.
The pirate captain is praised for his beautiful beard.
Mhm.
What's the better beard? Pirate captain, Davy Jones.
You know, I think it depends on what quality. Intimidation,
Yeah.
Davy Jones got it. Which one I want to run my little hand through? Actually, I was gonna immediately go Pirate Captain, but the more I think about it,
Davy
I guess-
Jones would be kind of fun. It's all slimy.
Remember, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when he's stealing the keys, and he gets those little rustling, like the little, like they
Both
curl
Davy
in his
Jones
sleep.
and the pirate captain storing stuff in their beards.
It's a pro
Interesting.
move.
kinda
You should
fun.
try it.
Possible that Pirate Captain becomes Davy Jones when he dies.
Ooh.
And does Vince Vaughn become Davy Jones when he dies?
The pirate captain would stand in a bucket.
Ah.
yeah, that's true. I think he would on a day
We're
to day.
getting somewhere.
And where we're getting is approaching having to vote pretty soon.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready if y'all are ready. I'm
I
ready.
don't need to approach. I'm there.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Yeah. Google funnier movie Dodgeball.
Is that a Flight of the Conchords song in Pirates Brand of Misfits?
Is it actually?
I think it
I'm
was.
pretty sure it is
sounded
because
like them.
I was listening to it and I'm like, I feel like this is definitely a
It sounds like them.
yeah, which it's in my notes, which is why I was looking it up to verify, and I think it is
Holy shit.
when he has his like sad montage.
Oh, that not crying one?
yeah,
Oh yeah, that is 100% Fly of the Conchords. Why did I not? Yeah, that's 100% Fly of the Conchords.
yeah,
I
which
love
is
that
so fun. Love that. I just wanted to call that out because one, it's
Because this movie's on its death throes.
what? I refuse to believe we'll go another finals without a Matthew movie being involved. I guess I pick bad movies.
No, you don't pick bad movies.
I also, on the regular philosophical consistency, vote against my movies.
Matt,
That's true.
you talking about picking bad movies. Last bracket, I picked Jungle Cruise, and this bracket, Jake picked Dodgeball.
Anyway, I'm ready to vote. I'm ready to vote. I don't think I've got anything else.
Let's do it up.
Alex, you seemed confident. You want to start us off?
Yeah, I'm voting for Dead Man's Chest.
I am also going to vote for Dead Man's Chest.
Yeah. I mean, I might have joked in a life where I'm like, oh, sorry, Dead Man's Chest not as funny as Dodgeball. So no, I mean, I'm not going against Gore Verbinski here. Only one thing would ever make me go against Gore, and we don't even know if it's gonna win.
We'll see if it makes it to the finals.
And potentially, I could be swayed either way if that does happen. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It's a queen sweep for Dead Man's Chest. It's moving on to the finals.
Wonderful. We'll see it there next week. Jumping over to the other side of the bracket, Jake, do you want to go ahead and introduce Muppet Treasure Island?
I sure do. Muppet Treasure Island, tale as old as time. We're retelling, Robert Louis Stevenson's classic tale. This is 1996, directed by Brian Henson of, the Henson family fame. Muppets are on a swashbuckling adventure, sailing for adventure. To the high seas, search of buried treasure. You got classic Tim Curry, Long John Silver. You got Miss Piggy on an island surrounded by gold and little warriors. You got rat tourists. You got Sam the Eagle being a ghost. You got a bunch of other great things. A lot of great bits. It's, to me, the epitome of a classic Muppet tale. Like, enhancing an original story with the Muppets is like textbook to me. This is beautiful. I love it. I think it's so good. But it's up against a banger, so, feel free. Introduce Treasure Planet.
Sure. Treasure Planet, also based off of Treasure Island. This movie released in 2002, directed by John Musker and Ron Clements. Jim Hawkins is a young man who gets into trouble, but he's got greatness in him, and he finds the map to an alien treasure, and he gets on a boat, and he goes after it, and he meets a pirate captain, and it's pretty good. It's got a phenomenal cast, too. A lot of these pirate movies have really good casts.
Dude,
I've
everyone
noticed.
wants
It's
to
like
be a
running
pirate.
theme.
I get it.
Young Joseph Gordon-Levitt is Jim Hawkins. Martin Short is Ben. Emma Thompson is Captain Amelia. David Hyde Pierce is Dr. Dilbert. Brian Murray as Long John Silver. It's like just phenomenal. It's really good. Going into this bracket, I said last week that this was my favorite version of the Treasure Island story, and who knows where I stand.
I mean, that's kind of, it's a great jumping off point. I before we get into those opinions though, I want to applaud both of these movies. I think it'd be silly not to mention how I feel like these are the most fresh adaptations of this story, and that actually feel good, not fresh for fresh sake, and they're like bad. I genuinely feel like whoever picked the Muppets to tell this story, like fucking genius. You enhanced it, like you did
So
it really
good.
Like such
Genius.
It's smart. It has adult themes of adult humor, but it's also still kid friendly, and you can have a lot of fun with it. And period piece with the Muppets, great. And to put Treasure Island in space, also fucking phenomenal. I love science fiction. I love that they did that. And also, it's wild because both these movies, not like the smash box office hits that Disney expected them to be either. And it's interesting because with time, I feel like both, like whenever you talk about either of these movies, at least in, whatever circles I'm in stuff, people love these movies. People adore them, but apparently not at the time.
Yeah.
They were not well received. So yeah, I just wanted to give credit where credit was due either way, how it shakes, because hats off to whoever pitched both these movies. I think it's like very, very smart on there.
For sure. I think like this matchup in itself 100% could have been the finals matchup of this bracket. I mean, these are
I
two
agree.
fantastic movies. And maybe that just goes to show how much potential Treasure Island has as a story, and that these movies are able to take such good advantage of it.
Which I think is the question at heart here is, well, one of the questions at heart here. How do we feel these two movies take the adaptation, what they do with them? What are our thoughts?
Sure. Last week, I mentioned that I had never seen Muppet Treasure Island before. And I'm pretty sure watching it, I realized that Treasure Planet is the only version of the Treasure Island story I had ever seen or read. I heard about it before.
So that's your original, basically. That's
yeah.
your
Treasure Planet to me is the original.
It's the best version of the story because it's the only version of the story.
I mean, it's still pretty good. I feel like I picked a good one to be my only experience.
Yeah. For sure.
So for me watching Muppet Treasure Island, one of the big questions in my head is, oh, that's a little different. Is that more like the original book, or is Treasure Planet more like the original book? Because characters are done fairly differently,
Yeah, some are Muppets.
Some of them are
What?
Muppets. Yeah, some of them are dog people.
True.
One of them's this really curvy looking pirate captain. What the heck are they doing?
Yeah, man. Kermit did what he had to do, baby.
So I don't know. Do you guys? Does one of you have more familiarity with the actual story and can give some clarification on the differences?
Honestly, I did read it as a kid after I saw Muppet Treasure Island, and I was like in a big oh, I'm gonna read, and like these are really cool. But unfortunately, I could acknowledge I am biased because Muppet Treasure Island is one of my favorite movies all time. So kind of like you, I've watched it more and more and more, that it's kind of diluted to me. Like that is my prime Treasure Island.
That is
story.
Treasure Island.
Yeah. And what gets close to me is expanded, like I mentioned it before, but like the show Black Sails, because it's like pre that and it's like filling in some cool gaps for me in an adult way. But like Muppet Treasure Island to me is just like, oh, it feels like more classic to me than Treasure Planet. Something about it feels more like literary and classic to me. I don't know if it's because of the set pieces or because of whatever, or just Muppets being, whatever this cultural zeitgeist is and tackling a story. But I just think it's like a really, really well adapted story, and it feels just classic. Whereas Treasure Planet feels good and creative, but if I wasn't talking about Treasure Planet, I probably wouldn't be thinking about it as much as I do Muppet Treasure Island. But I know that's biased.
Yeah, that is dripping
100%.
with some.
100%. I literally we're recording right now. I have a Muppet poster behind me. Like it's not like I
true.
get it.
You do.
I can acknowledge that audience. And
I think
you guys.
like part of what you're saying with Muppet Treasure Island feeling more classic, I think in my mind has to do with the medium that they're coming through, because Muppet Treasure Island, especially now you compare it to newer Muppet movies, it has more of the classic feel. Like it is an older movie, right? Whereas Treasure Planet was the final wave of the hand-drawn animation and what really kind of was the nail in the coffin, because it was so expensive to try and do it with 3D. And so I think part of the reason Muppet Treasure Island feels more like a classic is because of the medium you're watching it in.
I also think that there's the setting piece where I think by the nature of it's dealing with pirates, it's dealing with like
Right.
a
You're
historical
on a
setting.
ship,
It
you're on an
feels
island,
more
yeah.
classic. It feels more real. Like we can tangibly go, oh, like, oh, I like when I was in somewhere toured that pirate ship. I have some concept of what
Mhm.
this was actually like, whereas Treasure Planet takes place in a fictional universe that is much different from our own. So it, I think it distances itself in some ways from the ability to feel classic.
Mm.
I think the bottom line being, I think I agree with you that Muppet Treasure Island feels more classic and I believe is closer to the source material. I mean, even just beyond setting, like Treasure Planet immediately makes the decision to age up Jim.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty significant departure from like any version of this story because Jim is, quintessentially
Which,
supposed to
fun
be like a
fact, in Muppet Treasure Island, they cast him really young, but he sings. People like when he auditioned to sing, they said he sounded like a girl because he had an puberty or whatever, and no one had really heard him sing like on sets, and so like lines were like Muppets like riff on him, and be like, "It was a girl," whatever, or like there's actually when he first starts singing in front of Tim Curry. This is one of my favorite moments in the film. He sings for the first time, and that's a real live take of him because they sung it live. It's a real live take of Tim Curry looking at him, and he double takes. He's like, "What?" And he's like, "I had no idea." And like the kid sings like fucking beautifully, like really, really well. But like Tim Curry, if you look back, he literally double takes, and then he smiles like, "Oh shit, I gotta bring my shit." And then he like goes and does this whole like. It's really, really good. It's really fun. But they cast him super young, and they had to for the musical piece, which I did want to get into at some point. It was just really interesting casting a younger versus like an older for like what that would like feel like. Because for me, like Muppet Treasure Island feels like it is like a kid, and he is like coming into his own.
I mean, he's meant to be in the like he is in the novel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Whereas I think that it's a really interesting decision Treasure Planet makes in aging Jim up, in that it departs from the novel. It departs from the other adaptation we see. However, I feel like it changes his relationship with Long John in really interesting ways because despite like I think normally people would think you place a younger character alongside an older one and it's going to like take on a more familial role by default, but I feel like the ways they change Jim to be like a young man who's like in need specifically of a father figure,
right,
and being a rebellious teen for that reason like really outlines his relationship really well, which is one of the things I really like that Treasure Planet does, which is not like a knock on Muppet Treasure Island's relationship between Jim and Long John, because I think it's like super well acted from both. He's a pretty good child actor, but it just the relationships have very different tones, because I think that one is like Tim Curry's never trying to be his dad as much as Jake maybe wishes Tim Curry could have been.
I still tear up. Like this movie is the one will always make me cry and tear up at the end where Long John is going to shoot Jim or whatever. He's like, "I can't kill you. You're honest, pure, and true. You didn't learn that from me." And like, and then the kid actor like eats him up in that scene. He's like, you better row far away from here. I don't want to see you again. I don't want to do it again. And it, like, I think it's really good. But I do agree with you where I think having a rebellious teen aspect and like the father figure of that, it makes it more emotionally impactful. I just also think that I like I love Tim Curry's Long John more, and so it's hard for me to like. I think they're even in regards to those relationships because I love the complexity of the teen aspect and like more father figure, but I think Tim Curry just really sells the fun and emotional like
just to respond to that immediately. I think that you hit the nail on the head when you used complex. I think Treasure Planet's relationship is more complex, but I think Muppet Treasure Island's might be more fun. Because like the relationship between Jim and Long John and Treasure Planet isn't like a fun relationship,
right?
It
hits you in the feels.
Yeah, they bond, and there's like this like genuine betrayal that colors some of it, but then this like redemption. Whereas Treasure Island is just like, it's fun, really, really fun to watch Tim Curry on stage, which is not on stage in this movie on film, which is not to downplay it and say that complexity is inherently better. I think is what you were trying to get at.
I think like in my mind, it's because they're trying to do two different things. Like Jim in Treasure Planet, they make the character looking for a dad, like you said.
Yeah,
whereas
exactly.
Jim in Muppet Treasure Island is looking for adventure. And so Long John and Muppet Treasure Island, Tim Curry is his like tour guide to adventure.
Yeah. And I still think it's also like a gut punch of, because it's so fun and all of a sudden they put that ending scene with those two, like kind of confrontation in the night. You have no Muppets around.
It
They
becomes
purposely,
very
like, put
real.
them out, and it's just two human
Mhm.
beings talking to each other, and it becomes super real. You're like, oh shit, this was like a fun time, but this is like a really emotional point where it was like, oh, like Jim actually learned something like through this adventure, and he grew a lot more. It's not just searching for adventure, it's like searching for a bit more than that in the way to become an adult, in the way to become like a teen and finding his own self through childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously, if we're talking humor, Muppet Treasure Island is probably funnier, so we know which way this vote's going.
Dodgeball. I'll still vote Dodgeball here. No, I mean, I think the Muppet Treasure Island, like, I genuinely think this has some of its funniest jokes in like Muppet movies. I think they're like, they have a lot of fun with like the fact that they're pirates, and they get to
Mhm.
they got to create Muppet pirates. Like, they had a lot of fun.
Which is
Even the
pretty
roll
fun.
call
Yeah.
scene is just like
It's
them
so
having
good.
fucking fun. Cabin Fever as a song, Professional Pirate as a song, like, they're having fun. And it leans towards the Muppets and their use a lot more.
Which I think brings me to one of the hangups we didn't really get to talk through last time because I was taken control
On
of
a
by
tirade.
by an evil spirit. The final third of Muppet Treasure, like I don't know if I have like a question, but it's like part of me is like I feel like the final third of Muppet Treasure Island, Professional Pirate Onward, is just like so much better than everything else there. And I like want you to, I don't know, like convince me on the rest of the movie, or I guess we could talk final thirds.
Yeah.
We could talk the like once they get to the island versus once they get to the planet kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just, because that was my big hang up with Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah. It's interesting that you view it as a hang up rather than like a, oh shit, the final third, it was all building to this, and then you get a very satisfying final act. Like, it's
Because I don't know if those other things feel like they're building to it in the same way. Like, I feel like I have to watch the rest. Like, not that it's bad. It's like, it's not like I'm like, oh, I have to get through these first 2/3 of this movie. It's more like,
you think it's at fault because it's that much better that it's like, it feels separate. Like, it's
yeah, like I feel like there's ways that the rest of the story could have been elevated, and there's
Mm.
just like some gap missing that makes that final bit so good. Maybe it's Miss Piggy. That,
you were missing Miss Piggy. Be real.
Okay. I think that, though, is a huge factor in the final thirds of these movies.
Mm.
I'm actually pretty torn about it. Because in Treasure Planet, the, like, character of Ben is, I think, like, obviously, like, an integral story element. But I think the character is not done that well. Like, he's just suddenly there, and he's suddenly very important in the movie. Whereas for Miss Piggy, because you know it's gonna meet Miss Piggy,
Right.
like like that character holds so much more weight and so much more excitement. But all of that being said, while I think that part of the final acts is very much in favor of Muppet Treasure Island, I think that the like final action sequence, the like final fight, or like being in the actual treasure room and like escaping, Treasure Planet does so much better. I mentioned last week how I was like disappointed that you don't really see Tim Curry fight that much. Like, he can't really move around because he's missing a leg, and that's like totally fair, very cool. But like, you could have seen
flipping
him
around.
Yeah, but like,
sure do.
I wanted to see Tim Curry doing stuff.
Okay, that's
because
fair. I
it's
guess.
Tim Curry. I just ended up being disappointed by that action sequence versus action sequence. And so I'm like really conflicted about which final third I like more.
Yeah. I mean, I also want to give a shout out to the Love Let Us Here montage where the pirates finally find the gold and are like celebrating, and Kermit and Piggy are like floating and like almost gonna die and like professing their love. I think also Muppets are very meticulous on who they cast as a human and who they cast as which roles when they do adaptations. And I think you're absolutely spot on when they cast Miss Piggy, because they're like, this is not a character that we can characterize really, really well, but Miss Piggy's full of character anyway.
Brings so much to it.
So it brings so much to it that you kind of forgive any kind of lack of characterization. And hey, Tim Curry said that he slept with Miss Piggy, and that was ad-libbed in, so that adds a lot of character too, you know?
That's actually a super great piece. You bringing up Ben, this whole conversation, Miss Piggy colors it so well. And I think that in reflection, that is one of the pieces that amps up that final bit so much. And Ben in Treasure Planet is perhaps, in my opinion, the movie's biggest failing.
Yeah.
For sure. Definitely.
The character is just not funny.
But it wants to be.
It's trying really
Martin Short
hard.
tries so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it feels like suddenly you get to the treasure planet, and it's like all of a sudden we have to drag around
This annoying robot.
yeah, like a Jar Jar Binks mixed with like
Not Jar Jar. No.
it's mixed with I don't even know, like a
Jar Jar Binks mixed with all the bad parts of C-3PO.
yes,
Let's just
yeah.
full dive into Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
God,
Yes,
even
that's
I
perfect.
just like looked up his fucking like just Googled him again, and all the images just I look at him and be like, I kind of hate you. Like I kind of want to shut you off immediately.
Yeah, it's just Ben is so bad, and Miss Piggy colors this like essentially inconsequential character from the novel who's just like a means to an end, basically.
Right.
So well.
Yeah.
Alex, you feel like the action sequence in the end of Treasure Planet is so good. And I think for me, it's almost like, if we look at the broader pictures here, is like the world and story set up by Treasure Planet, I think, is so awesome. I
Mhm.
think the relationships are done super well, versus this near perfect final act in my mind that Muppet Treasure Island has going on, because pieces that I dislike in Treasure Planet's version of the adaptation in that final bit are just like corrected and done so much better. I guess I can see some things with Tim Curry not getting in on the action, but like watching Kermit flip around and have a sword is just like
Little Gonzo
hell
La
yeah,
Cucaracha fighting the cockroach. He's like,
it's just like
Mikasa,
puts a smile on my face.
Yeah.
Whereas like I
That's
I
fair.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It is really tough.
Part of the reason I'm disappointed too in that final climactic fight of Muppet Treasure Island is because I love the relationship between Jim and Long John in Treasure Planet.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
the like climax of that movie has so much more of that like emotion to it in my mind versus like Muppet Treasure Island is a fun scene where you're seeing
Fun scene,
Kermit
and it's
flips,
like more
which
about
is
like
very fun.
family Muppet values, like when they're like, you're gonna have to go through me, you're gonna have to go through, like it's not like about the fighting, it's about like the message. And part of the reason why he's probably stagnant too. But I do think, to that argument, like again, it's Tim Curry, his performance, I feel like he puts it way more, the fact he can't move around a lot, and he puts so much life into it anyway that he still feels like a mobile character in a lot of regards. Like he's not stagnant just because he's stagnant, like at all. Upstage, lads, this is my only number. I love this fucking movie, man.
It's genuinely really tough.
It is tough. I never want to trash Treasure Planet. I do think it was ahead of its like time, or just like it came at the wrong time, probably. More likely, if it was before, like probably would have done better or something.
If it had been early enough where they didn't think they could have done the 3D animation, I think it would have been incredible. I think if it had been 5 years later when they'd figured out the 3D animation, it would have been incredible.
Yeah.
And imagine the world of Disney movies if they had just waited a little bit longer and hadn't just killed their 2D animation division until Princess and the Frog. Like, you know? Would have been pumping out some
really great stuff, some really special stuff.
Some really special stuff visually. I truly do think Treasure Planet has such a unique visual flair because it blends that 3D and 2D animation in really awesome ways. Obviously, it's still early. Some of the 3D animation, hasn't aged like.
Sure, but I don't like. I feel like you're an asshole if you're saying it's like.
Yeah, if you're getting real hung up on it.
It's the same where it's like you're an asshole if you look at the Muppet like things and be like, they look fake and weird when they fight. It's like, I don't give a shit. That's funny, dude. Like they're puppets.
They're flopping around.
Like,
Why is Kermit a frog, but he's fuzzy?
No matter what, these films, it's not about like being an asshole or like hating one or the other. It's just like a matter of like, what we think does better. And for me, I'm leaning towards Muppet Treasure Island.
Are we voting?
That's just where I stand as where I'm at now. Feel free to ask or point out anything else.
I think that I could vote, Matt, if you're also ready.
And I know you're probably in a tough position because you might be.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's so tough because these literally are. We said it before. This could be the finals.
This could be finals, and like even taking like, I'll keep singing more praises if you need more time, but like even having an adaptation and making it into like a musical adaptation, I think is something just the Muppets as a property does really well, but I also thought was like so fun for this story too. And I think animating it in the way Treasure Planet did and putting it in space is also like really fun for it too. So it's I think they both have all these positives that just lean in different directions, and it's just a matter of what at the end of the day you're feeling is working for you.
Yeah. And what is working for me? Gotta vote at some point, you know?
Oh, Alex, do you want to formally vote?
Yeah, I can formally vote. I'm voting for Treasure Planet. Shoot, I had a really good reason, and now I can't remember it. What's
Big
up with
wins,
that?
big ups for for the Muppet horde.
The Muppet horde.
Yeah,
Are
that's
they
what
gonna
we
send
call
us
ourselves.
hate mail?
I think at the end of the day, I am voting for Treasure Planet because it is my favorite version of the Treasure Island story. Now, you may be wondering, Alex, why is this your favorite version of the Treasure Island story? Well, all of the reasons that we've discussed in the last couple episodes of this podcast, but also Tough Cut Podcast loves dads, and this version has dads.
Let's have dads.
I've said
I
that.
mean, that's a funny way of saying it, but just like, I mean, that storyline to me has always really resonated, the like fatherhood, found father. And I think this movie does it so well. And I don't know if that is something that is like fairly relevant in the like classic Treasure Island book, but I think it's done really, really well in this movie. And I think it adds a lot to it. So that's why I'm voting for Treasure Planet. Because I feel like pirates are all about found family, you know?
Well,
your
it's
crew
also
is like
Muppet
your
Treasure Island. He
family.
got his found family there, and
Yeah, no, Muppet Treasure Island definitely has it too. I really love the way it's done in Treasure Planet.
Muppet Treasure Island still has rat tourism.
Jake, I love you
they're
for
so funny.
sharing Muppet Treasure Island
Yeah,
with me.
I'm just so glad
because
I'm
it's
able
incredible. You've been talking about it for as long as I've known you, and I'm so glad I have finally watched it.
to. Yeah, more insights into what makes me.
This is so tough.
Is looking at Kermit? Is it too much? Do I need to hide it?
Do we need
you
to
think he's
censor
judging
it?
you?
It's
Is
coloring my
is he-
opinions. You know what? I think I can. I think I've got an answer.
I'm terrified. I look calm, but I'm freaking out.
I know you are. I know you
But vote
are.
with your heart. You know I love you regardless of any outcome.
Does he though?
Yeah, Kermit's watching. The whole Kermit's watching.
Kermit the Frog here.
And that's part of why I went first, because if Treasure Planet does end up moving on, you're the one dealing the final blow, not me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
very
exactly.
true.
I got the kill shot.
That's very true. And you'll be the savior if you.
That's true too.
And it won't matter that I voted for Treasure Planet because it moved on.
Yeah, and it does matter because it's still a great movie, and it does deserve this level of uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know what I want to vote for. I think what it comes down to is we have two great movies.
Yeah.
Two excellent movies, in fact. And in reality, I prefer the complete package of one of these films, I think, a little bit more than the other. It's... Oh. He's gonna cry! An above excellent, a masterclass of a final act, I think it's just not enough to take it all the way up, all the way over. So I think I am going to vote for the only movie that has space floozies left in the bracket, and vote for Treasure Planet. Are those genuine tears, Jay? Oh, okay.
No, I'm fine.
And that's for delivering a death blow to the way back, you asshole.
I
Just
knew it.
kidding.
I knew the spite
Just
vote
kidding.
was coming.
No. I think I'm very much in the same boat as Alex, is that I think when it comes down to it, the actual character and story, as far as the adaptation goes in Treasure Planet, I prefer. If that final act somehow could have just had its energy carried from start to finish, which you may think it does,
Right.
it just didn't hit me in the same way. Muppet Treasure Island it would be like Into Darkness. Pure fun factor is carrying it all the way to the goddamn end.
Right.
But I think it's just, it's a hair off for me.
I feel like it's tough too. Like this, Matt, I don't know if you rewatched it in the time since we talked about it at the beginning, but like we each watched this movie once, you know? So like Jake, you have this incredible love for the film, and
Right.
you know how good that final act is. So that whole first 2 acts, you're anticipating it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
for
and
us,
you
we
also
didn't know.
find other things to really enjoy about like it ramping up and like being what it is, and then like it's just fun every time. And it is from my childhood, you know, like it's gonna be hard to separate that fact and not even think genuinely believe, oh, this thing does this thing better because I've seen it like 100 times.
Yeah.
know?
And, if the bracket had been slightly different, Muppet Treasure Island very easily would have made it all the way. It's a great, great movie.
If it was the pirate,
If it
bracket?
was the pirate bracket instead of pirates,
Yeah.
Jake. Exactly.
Because then Tim Curry would have been our pirate.
Right. And I would argue that Ben is the pirate in Treasure Planet. So
And if you do that, we know which
It's
way
done.
Treasure
It's
Planet's
dead.
going.
yeah. Top to bottom, Treasure Planet's great, huh? Top to bottom is the whole package.
Okay, as a complete package, everything
that
except
includes
for Ben.
That's not complete. That is the opposite of complete.
At the entire package, including Ben, I think edge-wise, it's Ben versus the first 2/3 of Muppet Treasure Island.
Which I feel like that's an insult. That's an insult.
That was a joke. That was a joke. That was a joke.
The first 2/3 of Muppet Treasure Island are not as bad at all as Ben.
No. Ben is awful. The first 2/3 of Muppet Treasure Island are like above average,
You already voted, don't worry.
It was a joke.
And how dare you?
With that, we have our finale set. It is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest versus Treasure Planet. That'll be coming at you next week. We'll also announce honorable mentions. So if you have any, I'm sure we've missed things, movies you love. Maybe it was the 1954 Disney's Treasure Island that year is like, that is the version to die for.
Right.
Which
I just feel like everyone's just gonna say Stardust, and then that's all we're gonna get.
Which we thought about, okay?
Dodgeball was just better. Yeah, that'll make those people angry.
Yes. So if you enjoyed today's show, remember to leave a review on all your favorite podcasting platforms, as I'm compelled to say.
And you get one tweet if you tweeted us, and guess what our next bracket is? Matt's gonna buy you a car, but you only get one guess.
I'm gonna tweet right now. I really need a new car.
No. It doesn't. If you're a host of the podcast, or I can prove Jake put you up to it, you don't get the free car.
Damn it! He put the caveat. Damn it.
Yes, you'll get to hear what our next bracket is. Beyond that, who should they share today's episode with?
Someone who's gonna win a new car.
Share it with someone from your childhood that you really admire and look up to, but you just don't love anymore, apparently, and it breaks your heart. And
whoa, you still love them.
And other people look at them and they say, hey, they're awful. Like 1/3 of you is really great, but the other 2/3 of you are really awful.
The other 2/3 are about as bad as C-3PO Jar Jar Binks mixed together.
Yeah. Share it with someone who's greedy. I don't fucking know. Share it with someone with a peg leg.
Share it with Martin Short.
Yeah, send this episode to Martin Short.
Yeah, see what he
Actually,
says.
don't do that. We're kind of mean.
I want an explanation, Martin. You're so good. You're too good for Ben.
Amazing.
You guys remember the Santa Claus 3?
I'm ending it there.